We are back with another installment on relationship with food. Today we're going to talk about understanding how you view food and how you use food in your life. And this is all about your brain and how you think about food. So what I have here is a little diagram to kind of understand how we all use food. Every one of us does this together. We're not different. Some of us just have different ways to absorb the information. And so let's start with our thoughts. What do you think about food? Do you think that food is there to soothe your feelings? Do you think food is there to feed your hunger? Do you think food is there because you're supposed to? So really looking at how do you think about food? What was the message around food growing up? And this is a really hard one for a lot of people to tackle, but thinking back to your childhood and what were the messages that you got about food? Were they positive, that food is love and we feed the people that we love? I can tell you for myself, I feed people that I love. That's just my way of showing affection when it's somebody that I can do that with. And I enjoy it. I enjoy cooking, so I like to feed people. But what is the message that you got? Were you a little overweight and so your parents were always, don't eat that. You really need to not eat that. You should probably lose 5 pounds, so maybe you need to watch how much portion control you have. What are those messages that drive your thoughts? When you pick up the Doritos and you're eating them, are you triggering your emotions? I feel guilty eating this food. Why do you feel guilty eating this food? Because growing up, my mom always said, you're gonna make yourself fat eating those Doritos, okay? So our thoughts are driving those feelings, which drives our food. When you think about those messages from your childhood, from your current life, from relationships that you've had, you're gonna get them from all over the world. Think about how you absorb those messages and what it does to your relationship with food. Do you have a healthy relationship with food? Some do, some don't. Some are in between. Some could care less about food. I have a friend who forgets to eat. How do you forget to eat? I don't understand that concept. Food is yummy. Why would you forget to do that? She's got that message. Somewhere in her childhood, she's got a message, food's not important. So really analyzing your thoughts about food and your relationship with food. Again, driving into that feelings. Most of us, a very large part of us, chunk of us, eat our emotions. We are stressed, we eat. We are stressed, we drink. We are overwhelmed by life. We are sad. We eat, we drink. We eat, we drink. Part of changing the lifestyle of how you look at food and your relationship with food is analyzing what feelings drive your food. I had somebody say to me recently, I really needed Thanksgiving. I really needed comfort food. And so she made herself Thanksgiving. Great, not a problem. But what was she really looking at in there that she needed comfort food? Probably a little high stress, probably missing family who's not close by. There's lots of things that can contribute that. But part of our ability to make lifestyle changes for the long term, for the rest of your life, is understanding when you eat and if it's an emotional piece. And what is that emotional piece? And making a choice for yourself to say, I'm feeling this emotion, I'm not gonna feed myself with Doritos. Apparently Doritos is what I want today. So I'm not gonna feed myself with those Doritos because I know that that's just a comfort food. I know that I'm just feeding my feelings. What can I do instead? What can I do to address these feelings that I'm having that are overwhelmed, that are stressed? I can go work out, I can go for a walk. Joseph calls it the daily dose, right? Dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins. Going outside and getting vitamin D helps prompt all of those natural chemicals in our body. Really exploring the connection between, and this is your journey, so really exploring how it impacts you and your feelings and the food that you then drive and how food drives your feelings. We put food in our mouth and we immediately feel we're not supposed to eat that. We shouldn't eat that. It would be so much better if I didn't do that. And then the regret that comes after you ate it. You had the piece of cake because you really wanted it, and you were at a gathering, and we're going to talk about events here in a second, and you were at a gathering, you had the piece of cake, and then all of a sudden the guilt sets in of, I really shouldn't have had that cake because now I've totally derailed myself and I want to lose weight, and eating this cake isn't going to lose weight. and the guilt and the remorse and the guilt and the remorse. And it's a really vicious cycle that I would encourage all of you to take a really hard look at, because there should never be guilt around eating food. Food is fuel. Food is what keeps us alive. Yes, cake is part of that food, and it's okay to eat them. It is absolutely 100% okay to eat it. And we shouldn't have remorse about the food that we eat. We ate it. Okay, we ate it, move on. It's in our bodies, there's nothing we can do about it now. So move on from that. I make that sound super simple. I understand that it's not, but it's something that we have to start looking at as far as our relationship with food goes. The next one I want to talk about is our environment, and how our environment dictates our relationship with food and drives our behaviors. You start a new gym and you're feeling really good, and so all of a sudden you clean up your diet, but then you go home and you've got a family that eats Doritos and eats cake and has all the cookies in the house, and so now it's sabotaging your diet, and you're not sure which you should do. Maybe I shouldn't just go work out because this is what I'm eating at home. I've got this party to go to, and I really want to have this cake, but then I'm going to derail my diet, and I don't know what I'm supposed to do. And so all these thoughts drive all these feelings from all of these life events. For me, as a nutrition coach, I drive under the assumption that we are making a lifestyle. You are going to have cake in your life. You are going to have drinks in your life. You are going to have candy in your life. How can we allow yourself to have that candy without feeling guilty or remorseful and having negative thoughts about yourself and how you view food? The reality is, we have life to live. We have gatherings. We have holidays. We're headed into the holiday season right now. We are really looking at Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas. This is eating heaven for most people. So how do you look at enjoying all of those things, but staying within where you really want to be? That's the lifestyle piece. That's making mental changes about how you view yourself, how you view food, and how you view your relationship with food. The last piece I want to talk about is triggers. Triggers are those things that impact us in an emotional way. Many of us have life stories, accidents, deaths in our family, things that come up that are unexpected, and we have a really intense emotion attached to that. When we have those really intense emotions, we can frequently be triggered again into those emotions later in life. So let's say it's a death of a family member, the anniversary of that death rolls around, and we are triggered into that sadness and grief all over again. Now again, driving the feelings, driving the thoughts, driving the events. When we are triggered by things, our inclination is to go into comfort mode. We want the things that soothe us. We want the things that help us feel better. And a lot of times, that's food. If it was a parental loss, let's say, and all of a sudden it was your mother and she made the most amazing apple pie, and your mother has passed away and her anniversary of her death is coming along, and guess what's going to come up for you? This desire for an apple pie, because that's your connection to that person. That's an okay thing. You're going to have those experiences. You're going to make the apple pie. You're going to have a piece of the apple pie. Understanding that that's a triggered response from the thoughts and the feelings that you have. And again, have the piece of apple pie. Don't have the whole pie, right? Looking at how do you allow yourself to have this piece of pie without the guilt, without the remorse, without the I shouldn't do this. Let me tell you a little bit about should. Should is the worst word in the English language. It makes you feel about this big. You really shouldn't do that. I should know better than this. I should try harder. And every time I say that, I'm getting smaller and smaller and smaller, and I'm making myself feel bad about myself for no reason, right? So when you start thinking about shoulds and shouldn'ts as far as this kind of lifestyle, take should out of your word, out of your vocabulary. Should is non-existent. If you want it, you eat it, and then you let it go and you move on to the next piece. Now, when you're talking about triggers and feelings, recognizing that you're going to have those things, and it's okay to have those things, it's okay to have that piece of pie, just let the feelings attached to that piece of pie go, move on from that. do some journaling, do some walking, go work out, find natural resources to help you through the emotional upheaval that you're feeling in that moment or in that week or in that month. All of these things are all connected, and they are all you. And they're going to exist. You can't get away from that. This is part of who we are. This is part of how life lives. So really analyzing for yourself, how do you manage this for yourself? How do you manage your stress? We're going to talk another time about stress and cortisol and the impact that has on our bodies, and really looking at this piece so that you can tackle the emotional side of eating, because so many of us emotionally eat. That's all I got for you for today.